Our continuing Path Forward series, CNBC is featuring small businesses and small business owners across the nation. Our goal is to try to learn from each other about how they are navigating the coronavirus pandemic. On Friday, as you know, the state of Georgia partially reopened its economy. And joining us right now is a Georgia small business owner, Bruce LeVell. He's also the executive director of the National Diversity Coalition for Trump. We met, Bruce, many years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, when we were doing the Squawk the Vote trips. Yeah. And I remember sitting with you in Atlanta. So it's very nice to see you again. You have just reopened. Tell us a little bit about the experience thus far, what your experience has been, but also what other business, small business owners are experiencing in your mall there.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. Well, I tell you, it's been a rough ride. You know, no one has ever been through this ever in their life before. But I can tell you that, especially here in Georgia, the small business people are very excited to get back up and going. And, it's kind of like I talked to one of my friends the other day. He says, this is almost like when I hawked my credit cards, I pawned all my silver for my wedding, and I went for broke. And he says it's that same type of feeling now because they're going into the second month where they weren't able to open their businesses, and it's been really tough ride. So there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of excitement. But most of the folks I talk to are very resilient. They know what to do. And, the interesting thing, too, Andrew, we're not in the, as we call the financial crash we had in 2009. We're in as we say, a medical pandemic crash. So it's a lot different. And that's why I believe we're going to rebound very fast and very aggressively. Right.
You're in the jewelry business. Tell us just what it's like. Are people wearing masks as they go in? How many people can go into the store at a time? How much has it cost you extra money in terms of trying to get all the PPE and other equipment? How easy or hard has that been?
Yeah. Well, thank God, my wife, she's the boss. That's why we do so well. She's running one at a time. We have the online presence, too. And, as well as I know, in the last several years, it's been a challenge for a lot of small mom and pop retail operations as it relates to the online giant that's out there. So having a capability to do online shopping carts with e-commerce is a tremendous asset, especially for us and a lot of other folks, but not so good for some of my other colleagues, though. But she's been a lot. I tell you, Andrew, it's the cleanest place. I think that the new norm is when you walk in and you smell a little bleach. It's like, oh, this is a safe place. So it's been scrubbed top to bottom, sideways, backwards, forwards. Every pencil, pen, stapler has been sanitized.
So I can see how the jewelry business can hopefully survive. I'm looking here at the LeVell shopping center. There's a nail salon there. There's a shoe store. There's a Subway. There's some cigar sellers. There's a Verizon Wireless. Are all of those retailers paying rent right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Andrew, because, one thing about, I've developed shopping centers also, is that, your small business owner pays the landlord, which essentially is folks like us. And then, of course, the landlord, has to pay the mortgage to the bank if there's a bank mortgage on there. And hopefully, the bankers, for a lot of my friends out there, are working with these landlords. And, of course, these landlords working with these retailers because, it's a dominoing effect. And I'll be honest with you, Andrew, this as well as your book. Some of these bankers are friendly, but a lot of them are like, where's my money? So we need to hurry up and get this thing going. There's a lot of folks being damaged out there because of those dominoing relationships as it relate to the renter, to the landlord, and to the mortgage, which is the banker, essentially. So right. I'm praying that they really work with these folks.
What do you say to some of the other business owners in Atlanta specifically? We had one on just last week who said, I'm not opening. I know the governor's telling me to open. I'm not prepared to open. I can't get access to PPE. I can't get access to all the materials and to comply with the rules and regulations. I'm just not in a position to do it. And I don't think there's going to be demand for me, even if I do open right now.
Yeah. Interesting point, Andrew, because here's the way I look at it. You want to be comfortable no matter who you are. Just, if the government tells you, the governor says to open or whoever. I think as a sole proprietor individual that owns the establishment, you have to be totally comfortable. But I'll tell you this now. Here's an interesting thing. A buddy of mine owns a flower shop. Another buddy of mine owns his own dentistry where he has the hygienist as well as the administrative assistant. And I'll tell you, those establishments, in my personal opinion, are 10 times cleaner and safer than some of the bigger grocery stores where, I won't call their names, that run in there. And there's like people wall to wall running around crazy, grabbing food. So I think it's one of those judgment discretion calls where people have to be comfortable. But I'll tell you, we're in an age where there's a lot of misinformation out there, Andrew, all due respect. And I always say follow the CDC guidelines and be careful about entertaining so much, stuff on the internet, because I do get a lot of text messages and people sending all kinds of, where did this come from? Well, they wrote this article. Well, who wrote it? Well, a source what? So I think that's a big culprit too. That's really hurting a lot of different folks and putting a lot of stress and anxiety on them and making good sound decisions of their ability to open their businesses.